Alright, so welcome back. So I've got basic routing down, pretty simple concept. What I want to do next is I want to introduce Angular Material 2. So let's just go ahead and do, let's open up a new tab, and let's do a search for Angular Material 2. And we'll go ahead and go to their main page, which is on GitHub. And so this is the Angular Material 2 website on GitHub. There's kind of two what I would consider main pages to Angular. And so this is where they keep all their stuff. If you scroll down on this, you'll find their getting started guide. And their getting started guide is really a useful thing. And this is something we want to bookmark. So let's go ahead and bookmark this. And so I called it AM2 setup. And I put it into my Angular ngFire folder. And I've actually already put mine in there, so I don't need it there. If I bring back up my bookmarks bar, you can see that I put it in right here at the bottom. So AM2 setup. And so this is a page that I'm going to be at quite a bit. While we're making bookmarks, though, let's go ahead and make another bookmark. And that's to their main page. And that's material.angular.io. And then there's components that are over here. So this is material.angular.io, and then these are all of their different components. And this is also a page worth bookmarking. So let's just go ahead and call this one AM2 components. And so this is their documentation to where you can learn about these different things, and it shows you like the code snippets for how you do it and things like that. All right, so back over to the setup, because that's what we've got to do first before we can actually do anything. So I'm just going to go ahead and follow along with their setup steps. This bookmark, this is something we're just going to have to do every time, right? So install /save Angular Material. So I'm just going to go ahead and run this guy. Easy peasy. While he's running, I'm just going to go ahead and look at the next step. And it says that if you want animations, you also have to do this npm install. Oh, that's easy. I can do that as well. So I'll paste that guy on there. And then it says that you're going to need to go into your, this is your app module folder, and add browser animations. They've got the import for me right here, so I'll just go ahead and copy the import as well. And I'm going to go into, I've got too many tabs open, close all real quick. Go into my app module, and I'm going to import this thing. And it says that I'm going to need to add the browser animations module to my imports. So I go into my imports, and I've got a browser animations module. That was pretty easy. I can follow steps. It says if you don't want another dependency, you can do a no-op. The first option was easy. I didn't really mind that. Next is to import the components module. So this is kind of an interesting thing. They want you to, this is how you're supposed to do it right, import independently every piece of Angular material that you're using. It's kind of a pain, to be perfectly honest, and the way it used to work is it used to be that you just import the kitchen sink. So let me show you the kitchen sink approach first, and then we'll show you how to kind of do it the way they want you to do it, but in kind of a cheater way there too. So the way it used to work is that you do an import of a thing called the material module, right? And it was from the @angular/material area. So you'd import this material module, and then down here you just say material module. And that was actually pretty easy, and it's nice. But the reason they didn't like it is because it imported everything. Right, and so there's I don't know, Angular material is broken up in 40 different modules, and it imports all 40. If you hold down Control or Command on a Mac and you click on it, you can see that it's marked as deprecated. And the reason it's marked as deprecated is because they don't really want you using it anymore, because it guarantees that you're importing things that you're not using, which slows down how fast your app loads. To be honest, for my testing, I really don't mind importing extra things, but I should also show you how to do it right. And so the way you do it right is you import individual things. So I'm not going to quite show you how to do it right, but I'm going to show you how you can do it that's closer to right. And so I'll put this link above the video, but it's also in the little documentation about this app. So this is the verbose imports. And so here's what you could do instead. So you could import, so I copied just kind of the top part of this. You could import every single module manually, and then at the end of your app, delete the ones you don't want. So I'm going to comment that one out. And so this is, we're just going to say no kitchen sink. And then instead we're going to import everything initially, and then we're going to take out the ones that we're pretty sure we don't need later. The reason I kind of like that better is because while you're developing, you're not just like hit at every step. It's like, oh, hey, I need an icon, or hey, I need an input, or, hey, I need a menu. But you can just kind of like import everything manually. And so you've got all the imports here. And then you've got this const material modules array here. And then what you have to do is you have to say material modules. And so this is using your internal one, which has kind of got everything. And then later we'll selectively remove things. And the reason that that's better, it's not a lot better, is that it makes you think about the fact that all these things got included. And so all these things are what the material module used to be, and it just hid that it was doing all these imports. All right, I talked about that for a lot longer than I really meant to. All right, now I lost my my page. Where'd my page go? There's my page. So import the components that you want. So import each component that you want to use. You can see there's a couple of different styles here, which I'm not going to get into. The next thing is including a theme. I'm going to come back to this one. So I'm going to come back to step 4. The next one is gesture support. If you want gestures like swipe, there's some things you have to do. We're not using gestures. And then the material icons. If you want the icons available, copy this and put it into your index.html. And so it looks like they've made a nice blank line for me. They were expecting me to put something in right there. Perfect. And we're going to be using a couple of the icons, and so that's an easy thing to do. All right, so that finishes my steps, except for I skipped over themes. So you're required to pick a theme whenever you're using Angular Material 2. There's a little like super shortcut here. You know, you can just add this line of code if you just want it to work. But let's go over to the theming guide and let's learn a little bit more about it. So the theming guide is another page. I guess that, you know, in theory, you know, you could add another like thing to your bookmarks, but I'm not going to bother because it's pretty easy to get there from the other one. And so it's got some information here, like, you know, what is a theme and things like that. And so what we're going to do is we're going to, in this app, use a pre-built theme. And then next time, we're going to define a custom theme. So a pre-built theme, so that looks like there are 4 pre-built themes. And the reason they did 4 pre-built themes is for people getting started. They can just copy a single line of code in, and it works great. There's 2 ways to use a pre-built theme. Is one, you could put it into your styles.css file. And so you'd copy this line right here. We can copy this line right here. And so you go over to your styles.css and you just paste that line right there. The other way you could have done it is with the index.html. I kind of like to do it in the styles.css. And you can see that there's a couple different options that you've got. Not a lot of options. You have exactly 4 options. And so you can change it to one of those 4 options. So right now it's deep purple amber, but you could also use, I'm going to switch it to indigo pink. So indigo -pink. Make sure you spell it right, which I did not. Indigo. All right, I'm a terrible speller, by the way. And so that will pick a color scheme. So it's going to be kind of like this blue-pink color scheme. And then later what we're going to do is we're going to define a custom theme, which gives you more options. By the way, just to kind of show you what some of the built-in options are, I used to use this tool getMDL.io, and it had a customized little picker in it, and you could just kind of pick your 2 colors, right? So if you wanted indigo pink, which was this one, it would show you what indigo pink was. And I'm going to zoom out a little bit here. You can kind of see here's what indigo pink would look like. But I kind of like this color picker because you can just kind of see different things quickly. It's like, so here's purple, yellow. That's what that theme would look like. So that link is handy, but not really that important for this one. All right, so we've got Angular material set up, and it's ready to go. Let's do a little bit more before we test it. And the little bit more I want to do is I want to add Angular Flex Layout. So I do a search for Angular Flex Layout, find their GitHub page. On their GitHub page, they have various links and things as well. They've got a API documentation, which is something important. They've got some examples and things like that. The thing I want right now is integration with the Angular CLI. So this is the thing that I want. And I'm going to bookmark this as well. I'm going to put it in my bookmarks, and this is going to be my Flex Layout setup. And so whenever I want to do Flex Layout, I come to this thing. Now, actually, I should have probably bookmarked a little bit later because they've got some of this nonsense about setting up with the Angular CLI at the start here, whereas we really want to start on this line right here. So I think I'm going to go and clean up my bookmark. So I'm going to click on that link, and this takes me to this new page. And so this is the one that I want to be my Flex Layout setup. And I'm done on that one. Now I got to go clean up my other one. So I go into Bookmarks and Bookmark Manager, and I go into my ngFire folder, and I kill my first one. So I just delete that. And then I want to make sure that it works. So I just click on ngFire, Flex Layout Setup, and it takes me to the right spot. Great, so it tells me I have to do an npm import, which is pretty easy. So I just do my npm import there. And then it says that I've got to go into my app module, and I've got to add this line. My app module is now very ugly because it's got all this material stuff in it. And so you can put it, I'll put it above the material stuff just because the material stuff is so ugly. So we've got this import, and then we've got to say to use it. Oops, I clicked the wrong button. We've got to say to use it right there. All right, so it's actually a pretty simple setup. So it was really just the import that's right here, and then the import that you see up here. It's funny, I'm using the word import in kind of two different ways there. Cool, so we could check it in because this is the setup, and you can see that it added animations, flex layout, and material. And then the index.html, we added the icons, and then the sass.css, we set our theme, and then in our import, we added the browser modules, the flex layout, and then the material components very manually. So they've got their imports, and then there's an array of material modules, and then it's right there. Yeah, the old way with the kitchen sink approach was definitely less code. But before we check it in, let's go ahead and do a little bit of testing just to make sure that it's working. And what I want to do is I want to add a toolbar. And so if I add a toolbar or feel confident that things are working, the place where I'm going to add a toolbar is in my app component HTML. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to type in the code for a toolbar. We'll talk more about the documentation next time, but this time I really just want to see if it works. So I'm just going to have you type what you see on my screen, and then we'll kind of discuss it more next time. So we're going to add an MD toolbar. And so obviously MD toolbar is a component that doesn't normally exist, but if you've added all the material stuff, it should exist and work just fine. And we're just going to put in here rows routing. So save that up and come over to our page again. We'll get to the right page, and you can see it says rows routing. Of course, there's something I want to fix, right? And the thing I want to fix is I don't like this gap that's around the toolbar. If you use your inspector and you figure out where that's coming from, it's coming from a margin that's on the body. And Chrome puts a margin of 8 on the body for you, which is normally good, but this time kind of annoying. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have to fix that. I can't put it in my app component CSS because that doesn't contain the body tag. And so this is something that I have to put at the global level. So I have to put it in styles.css. And what I need to do is I just need to say margin 0. The other thing I'm going to do just while I'm in here typing is I'm going to set the background color to some kind of gray color. I'll just set it to DDD. So that's a pretty light gray, which will be handy for me to use. And then let's go back over and see how that looks. So now I'm going all the way flush to the edges, which is good. I'm going flush to the edges in here as well, which I don't want, but I'll fix that in a different way later. And you can see that I've got my light gray, which is nice. And I just did that just to make sure things were working, but really this check-in is for Angular Material 2 and Flex Layout setup. So you're going to do these steps a lot in our apps, and so just kind of, accept the setup steps and make those links, and then make sure you add this body rule just to kind of do the cleanup here. By the way, I should have done an auto format to let it clean up my spacing and whatnot. Looks like I want to like that. So this is an auto format, Sassy CSS. Cool. All right, so come back next time, and we're going to do some more fun stuff. See you then. Bye.